Okay, well, this is the last lesson for chapter 1. It's lesson 7, and it's entitled The Coordinate Grid or the Coordinate Plane. Now, if you remember back to 5th grade, we did learn about the coordinate plane. And if you'll remember, we only talked about quadrant 1. And if you'll remember, Miss Lane asked y'all that in class, and I'd say, guys, why do we only study quadrant 1? And I remember y'all used to tell me, because Miss Lane, it's only positives. There's no negatives, and we don't learn negatives in the 5th grade. Well, guess what? Now you're in 6th grade, and now we're learning negatives on a coordinate plane. So that's what our lesson's going to be about today, okay? All right, so I want to start off talking to you about what quadrants are, okay? Quadrants. Well, now there are 4 of them. No longer quadrant 1. There's 4 of them that we're going to learn. This is the 4 regions, what they call it, of a coordinate plane or grid. Plane / grid. Some people call it a coordinate plane, some people call it a coordinate grid. But basically what it is, it's, you know what it looks like, and it's where you put your coordinates on the grid, okay, X and Y. Okay, just a friendly reminder on the origin. Can anybody remember the ordered pair for the origin? Well, you may have already said it by now, but it is 0, 0. That was the origin, and we learned that in the 5th grade, okay? Now, Miss Lynn just wants to draw one of these for you real quick. You do have it in your notes, but I just kind of want to explain it, all right? Because when we were in the 5th grade, you'll remember this was quadrant 1 right here, okay? And that was the only one we studied because it was all positives. All right, well now, this is quadrant 2, this is quadrant 3, and this is quadrant 4. Now, if you look at this, this is the x-axis. You remember the one going across, that's the x. And then this is going to be your y-axis, okay? Now remember, we only studied this right here, okay? This right here is what we studied. Well, now then, here's what's fixing to happen. You're going to notice that this is just like a number line. That is positive on that side. This is going to be negative on this side, okay? This is positive on this side. And this is going to be negative down here, okay? All right, so you need to make sure you understand that first of all. You know good and well, because you learned it in the 5th grade, you know that x always comes before y. So that's something you already know. All right? Now then, and we talked about too, about the x-axis runs how? Horizontal. And that the y-axis runs vertical. Correct? That's how they run. All right? So now then, here's what I want to do. I want to show you an example. And let me redraw this without all that on there. Okay? So I just want to show you a couple examples on this. So like for instance, all right, you know that's the origin right there. You know that's 0, 0 right there. Okay? So let me draw some numbers on this number line for you. -2, -3. Let's just go out to 3. That's going to be a +1, +2, +3. It's going to be a -1, -2, -3. So here's what's going to happen. Okay, so let me give you an example. All right, let's say that I put a dot. Let's say I put a dot right here. And I asked you, how would you name that dot right there? Okay, now you got to remember the x-axis comes first. So when I look on the x-axis going all the way across, I go, okay, where am I going to stop? Boom. I stop right there at a -2. So the x is a -2. Now then, I'm going to look on the y. Well, here's the y-axis. Where is that dot located on the y-axis? Boom, at a +2. So you would name that dot -2, 2. And that would be his name. Now, let me give you another one. Now again, we've not seen those negatives on the quadrant plane. Okay, that's new. All right, so let's say that I had a dot right here. And I said, okay, I want you to name that dot for me. Okay, tell me where he's located. Well, of course, you're going to run your finger down this x-axis and say, okay, where is the dot? Where is the dot? The dot is at -1. So you have -1. Now look up and down on the y-axis, and where is he located? -3. So his name is -1, -3. Okay, let's look at another one. So let's put one right here. Okay, so again, you take your finger, you say, okay, where is it on the x? Where is it on the x? Oh, it's at 3. Now let's look up and down. Where is it on the y? Where is it on the y? Boom, -1. So his name is 3 and -1. Let's do one more. Okay, let's say my dot is here. All right, first thing, run your finger down the x-axis. Where is that dot? Oh, it's on -1. Okay, look on the y-axis. Where is my dot? Oh, -1. So the name of that dot is -1, -1. Now, boys and girls, there's really not much to this. You could have decimals on this. And again, if you do, make them into money. It's so much easier to think of these in money. And I told you that back in the 5th grade. I explained that to you. That sometimes it's easier when you're looking at between numbers and you're not sure what it is. If you make it into money, it's easier to put on the number line. Okay? So let's take a look. I'm going to show you my notes. Something that I have actually run for you that I got out of a book. There are some examples right here. If you want to look at the examples first, as far as what the quadrants are, how you name the dots. If you notice throughout this paper that you're going to do on your own, after you plot the dots, I'm going to actually ask you what quadrant they're in. And you're going to need to tell me, based on where it's located, what quadrant it falls in. Let's go back to the board for just a minute. So if I look at these dots, this is quadrant 1, quadrant 2, quadrant 3, and quadrant 4. So if you look at that, if I asked you what quadrant that dot's in, you're going to tell me his name is -2, 2, and he is in quadrant 2. If I ask you what this dot's name is, his name is -1, -1, and he falls into quadrant 3. If I ask you his name is -1, -3, and he falls in quadrant 3. And then the last one, if I ask you his name, it's 3 and -1, and he falls in quadrant 4. So that is on your assignment on the independent practice, that you're going to name the point and also give me the quadrant that it falls into. Okay? All right, so let's take a look at the independent practice on this. All right, here's what it looks like. So over here you see your coordinate. You see all 4 coordinate, okay? All 4 coordinate quadrants. Sorry, I keep saying that wrong. Okay, so they want to know the name of point T. So I run my finger across the x-axis and I go, oh, he's at a -1.5 on the x-axis. So I put that down right there. Then I go, okay, now let me run my finger up and down the y-axis. Where is he located? Ah, -2. So his name is -1.5 and -2. And I will say, Miss Lane should have probably labeled that, the quadrants, but I didn't. But that's 1, 2, 3, and 4. So he falls in quadrant 3. All right, let's take a look at the next one. Okay, this time they gave me the coordinates and want me to give the letter. So I go to -1 on the x. I'm going to put my finger on -1 on the x. Okay. Let's see if I'm right. I can't see really. Oh, -1.5. -1.5 and then 0 on the y. Well, I'm not moving if I'm at 0 on the y. So what letter am I? K. And if you notice, that really doesn't fall in a quadrant because he's on the line. All right, let's take a look at number 3. -2. So let me run my finger up and down on the x-axis. -2. -2. And then they want me to go to 2.5 on the y. So if I'm at -2, and then I'm going to look on the y for 2.5. There's 2.5. There's my -2. I am letter B. And I fall in quadrant 2. Okay? Now then, I came down here and I did this for you. It said the gym is located 2 units to the right and 4 units down from the office. So I walked myself down the map and did it. And it says, what are the quadrants? And the quadrants are, or the coordinates, are 3, -4. And that actually fell in quadrant 4. Okay, so that's the independent practice. Now let's take a look at the independent practice. Okay, so Miss Lane tried to help you out here. And what I did is I went ahead and labeled it number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4, number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4. Okay, and of course I put the X and the Y so you'd remember that. So on part 1, it says identify the ordered pair that names each point. So, letter R, you're going to come over here, find letter R, you're going to give me the X number first that he's sitting on, and then the Y number that he's sitting on. Okay, give me the coordinates. And then you need to tell me what quadrant it's located in. Well, I gave them right there to you guys. All you got to do is look over there. So you're going to do that on numbers 1 through 6. And I wrote you a note. There should be 2 answers on each. Then you're going to come down here, and you're going to use this graph, this coordinate grid. Now you're getting into decimals. So again, I'd make that into money. Make that a -$2.50, $1.50. Okay? You know the first number is the X, the second number is the Y. So go across the X-axis, find your first number, then go up and down the Y-axis to find your second number, and give me the letter. And then tell me what quadrant it's located in. So again, you're going to give me 2 answers on each. Then the last part right here says graph and label each point on the coordinate plane to the right. So what I want you to do, again, make it into money. It's easier. That's -$3.25. That's a +$3. Start on the X-axis, then look at the Y-axis, plot the point. Plot the points on those, okay? And that's it. You don't need to give me the quadrants. Just plot the points on this graph so I can find them. And then I know you probably know the answer to this. I want you to explain to me, why is this one different than this one? And guys, we looked at some of those when we were in the 5th grade. Why are they different? Because a lot of kids would look at that and say, oh, that's the same thing. But why is it different? Okay? All right, so you have that to complete. That is your last paper for Miss Lane to complete. I gave you 3 lessons this week because I wanted you to be able to finish chapter 1 before you go to 6th grade. Again, don't forget to keep your notes because that's going to help you out a whole lot next year when you start 6th grade because her first lesson is going to be over integers, which was the same thing as my first lesson. So anyways, I hope you have a wonderful summer. I really hope that you do these papers, and I hope you take your time on them, and I hope you do well on them instead of just rushing through them and putting answers down. Take care of yourselves. I hope to see you soon, and have a wonderful summer. See you later.